I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
Hello, I'm James Brown, and on behalf of the Eastern Church of Christ located in Toronto, Canada, I'd like to welcome you to today's edition of Walking Through the Bible, a podcast where we seek to study the Bible and the Bible alone. Please stick around afterwards for information on how you can contact us. But for now, please go to the book of Genesis, and we'll turn you over to Jeremy Disocam for our study of the day.
Thank you, James, and welcome to all of our viewers. This is the 156th lesson in our study of Genesis. On Saturday, we covered Genesis chapter 45, verses 16 to 28, discussing how Jacob found out that Joseph was still alive. If you missed that episode and would like to watch it, you can find it and all of our other podcasts on our website at www.eastendchurch.org. You can also find them on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/EastEndChurchOfChrist under the Walking Through the Bible Genesis playlist. Today we're going to begin with Genesis chapter 46, verse 1 and read through verse 7. The text that you'll see on the screen is from the English Standard Version, but you're welcome to follow along with any version that you have. So let's now read Genesis 46, beginning at verse 1. So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifice to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here am I. Then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. Then Jacob set out from Beersheba. The sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, their little ones, and their wives in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock and their goods, which they had gained in the land of Canaan, and came to Egypt. Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters. All his offspring he brought with him into Egypt. In Saturday's episode, we have the brothers returning to Canaan with quite the news for Jacob. Joseph is still alive. We don't have Jacob questioning how this was possible. He simply accepted it as true once he heard the entirety of what Joseph told his brothers to tell him, and upon seeing the wagons sent from Egypt. Because the famine still had 5 years to go, Joseph had told his family to come and settle in Egypt in the land of Goshen, where they would be taken care of. Now, as we said in episode 154, leaving the land of Canaan was forbidden by God in the past to Abraham and then to Isaac, because this was the land that their descendants were to possess. We said that Jacob, when he had to leave Canaan in order to escape Esau, that it really wasn't ideal, for it was possible that once he married, he would never return. However, we know that Joseph was a man of God, and as such, even though we don't read of it explicitly in chapter 45, that Joseph was speaking the words that God told him to speak. All doubt, though, is put to rest here in chapter 46. Jacob agreed with the words of Joseph, and so began the trek to Egypt. We're going to assume that he started in Hebron, the place that he had settled at the end of chapter 35. He traveled south to Beersheba, a place where Isaac and Abraham had dug wells in the past, and there he offered sacrifices to God and stayed for the night. It is here that God appears to Jacob in a dream. If God had not wanted Jacob to go to Egypt, he would have said so here, because as of yet Jacob had not left Canaan. However, God assured Jacob that he approved of him going down into Egypt. He reiterates his promise to Jacob a second time, the first time being in Genesis 35, verses 11 and 12. He tells Jacob that he will be made a great nation and that God would be with them while in Egypt. He also tells Jacob, though, that he would bring the descendants of his up again, meaning that they would not remain forever in Egypt, thus fulfilling the promises to Abraham, Isaac, and also to Jacob. God's closing remarks are that Jacob would close your eyes, meaning that Jacob would die. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that Jacob would die in Egypt, but due to Joseph's position in Egypt, Jacob would very likely have interpreted it that way. What God didn't tell Jacob was what he told Abraham in Genesis 15:13, which was that his descendants would be afflicted while in Egypt. This prophecy was only told to Abraham, and while it might have been known to Jacob through the records of his father Isaac, It wasn't necessary to remind Jacob of this at that moment in time. The next day Jacob set out from Beersheba, being carried along with the children and the wives in the wagons sent by Pharaoh. Also going with them was all the livestock and the goods that they had gained in Canaan. Even though Pharaoh said that they would be well taken care of in Egypt, these things were valuable, would have taken time to sell, and were also useful, so that they were brought shouldn't be surprising. With that, our time is up for today. Please join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we will continue our study of Genesis, beginning with Genesis 46, verse 8.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to our viewers, we also thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Should you have a question or comment, please leave them below or email them to answerintheword@gmail.com. We'll try to respond to you as quickly as we can. We hope you'll join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we will be continuing on our study of the book of Genesis. Goodbye for now and have a great day.
I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to